32.
32.
Eventually, we might get one of these wrong, and I'll have to like correct it and post somehow.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I wonder why is it we even say it.
I don't know. We started off with that, and it's just become a thing. Still doing it. I know we just recorded something 20 minutes ago, but still doing it apparently. So we just had spring break, and we went to Costa Rica.
Did you try to say it with a Spanish accent?
Costa Rica. First time we've been there.
Yes. But what did you think? I guess did you have expectations?
I had expectations because I've seen stuff on. Well, I purposely try not to have expectations of what my experience is going to be, but I have seen enough stuff on TV to be under the impression that Costa Rica is where middle to upper class Americans go to retire, and the dollar goes a long way. I've seen a lot of things that like, oh, we were, middle class in America, but we moved to Costa Rica and now we're super rich because the money's worth more.
And the rich is not even the goal, but the goal is just comfortable retirement.
The goal is, with whatever my house is worth here and my savings are worth here, if I don't work, I could make, I could live for, 5 years and then I'm broke. But down in Costa Rica, I can live out my whole life.
Yeah.
Decently, something like that.
Yeah.
And I know I have seen things that do this.
They say that.
That say that. That was not my experience. Costa Rica was the same price as here.
Yeah.
The groceries are the same price. I don't know about housing. Maybe housing was more or less. I don't know. But it did not seem to be, as opposed to, let's say, Egypt or Istanbul, where stuff was considerably cheaper.
Yeah, well, you can eat right. Everybody compares the cost of bread. If you went into a store and got a cost of bread and milk, right, how does that compare in Egypt to Turkey to Costa Rica?
Egypt and Turkey.
My gosh,
it's really cheap.
Yeah.
Costa Rica, it's about the same as it is at the Kroger down the street.
Yeah. Now, saying that, no fighting, guys. Saying that, remember that one bakery that we went to? We got like all of those sweetbreads,
and those were really cheap.
And those were cheap.
Yeah, it was a little more than $1 for all of that.
Yeah. And so part of me wonders, maybe we were in the tourist trap.
Right, because anything in a tourist rich, an area with a lot of tourists is going to be regular. When I say regular price, I mean, United States average price.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of the stuff was just in dollars.
Yeah.
Some of the things were just in dollars, not even Costa Rican. Whatever.
And it's clear that they are targeting tourists and Americans because it's like, beachfront properties starting at, however many US dollars. And it's not even in the colognes. It's just in dollars. A lot of stuff is just in dollars because they know that that's what I guess drives the economy is tourist US dollars.
Yeah. But I wonder even if like the Europeans come over there, because there's a lot of Europeans that stayed in the hotels that we stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
If to them, euro is not that much off of $1. So even if you have a dollar sign, it is easy for them to process that. So you're not excluding the Europeans out of the dollar
right.
mark.
I mean, $1 is, I don't know, this is a super American privilege thing to say, but I just assume that everybody knows about what $1 is worth in their own local currency in a way that I had to look up how much the exchange rate for colones. But I assume that most people know, well, $1 is worth about that. It's like, I know that, $1 and a euro, I think a euro is worth a bit more, but they're close.
120, I think, right?
Yeah. And a pound is close to a euro. But I couldn't tell you how much a Japanese yen is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I imagine most people, because the dollar is kind of the de facto currency of the world.
Yeah. No, I mean, in Ukraine, we knew how much $1 was.
Yeah.
Because anytime we would have any Ukrainian currency left over, I mean, like we wanted to save something in the mattress.
Convert it?
We would convert it to dollars. But then, of course, I'm comparing this after Soviet Union fall. So like, yeah, what are you going to do?
I heard somewhere, I forget the number. There's an amazing percent of, not by pieces of paper, but by value, most the majority of currency is in $100 bills, which makes sense because they're worth so much.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those $100 bills are just not
In circulation?
not in
Really?
circulation because they're being held, and a lot of those are being held elsewhere, not in the United
That's
States.
interesting. I guess
Yeah.
we never. I remember we never had enough money to change it 100. But we occasionally had enough money to get a 20.
Right, and hundreds are like if it depends on where you are, but hundreds are maybe not the best thing to have. You know, there were plenty of, if I had tried to buy something at some of these stores, you know, for $5 or $10, and I gave them 100, there's a good chance they'd be like, "Yeah, we're not gonna touch that," because you know there is a chance it's counterfeit. I guess there is a chance that right. If someone came up with a 500 euro bill, I'd be like, I don't know what a 500 euro bill looks like off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think also by default, the people who changed money in Ukraine used to be just people on the streets. The chances of them being able to use 520 is a heck of a lot.
Right. Yeah. 520 is easier to move than
easier to
$100
move,
bill.
but then you can exchange a lot more money if you have a whole bunch of 20s as opposed to if you stuck with $100 bills. Yeah.
That said, if you just need something to hold on to, 100 is a lot easier. If it's like, oh, my goal is to move it into hundreds and then keep it for an extended period of time, that I guess all beside the point about Costa Rica.
Well, no, I will say this because I actually thought about this morning. So maybe this is the reason why we're talking about it. It's a stuck pain body that I still have. I remember my dad and I went to the market, and so in Ukraine back then, if there were official exchange places like in the buildings, that was the case. But I think they would have charged a higher rate to change out the money. And so I remember at the time, what you would do is you would go to the market, to the city market, and there were just individuals, like some dude, and then he's exchanging, and he might have like a exchange, like a thing saying that he's exchanging or whatnot. And oh my gosh, and my dad is such a sweet, innocent person, and I'm just a kid. But my entire life in Ukraine was a story of how we're being fucked over, right? Like that's hands down safety, right? And I remember standing there next to my dad, and we went to the market in order to exchange the money. And so my dad, and to us is a big deal to give however much we're giving to him in order to get, let's say, $20 back or $60 back or $40 back. And I remember whatever the amount my dad gave him, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is just so much money for us. Like I just remember being in that pain body form of thinking the scarcity behind of how much we saved up, and now we're going to exchange it into dollars, right? And so, oh my gosh, maybe I need to process this. And so what happens is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as my dad's concerned, is he gives this dude money. The dude counts out the equivalent exchange rate in US, and my dad processes that in his mind like, yes, this is correct. And he's a genius, so obviously to him it was very easy to do. And then he gives that money to my dad. And then my dad, that's it. And so my dad does not hold that money and count it himself. He sees the guy count it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm like literally feeling the influx of it coming up.
Turns out he did some sleight of hand.
So yeah, however the trick here was, however,
if you fold the bill, you can count it twice.
He folds some of the bills.
Gosh.
He counts the same bill twice. And of course, this is where my hopelessness come in. How at the point did my dad were able to figure that out? How was I able to figure that out as a kid? And so to me, what was the biggest amount ever that we were going to exchange into dollars, because it was buying safety. It was buying security for me. My father gets fucked over by this shyster who basically has some sort of trick of the fold of the hand and basically shorts him half. It was almost like half. However it was.
Oh gosh, that's awful.
And oh my gosh, I'm feeling it right now, like in all of my system. And then that was it. And so by the time dad comes home and counts it, we actually tried to go back to the market and confront this guy, but he's gone.
Right. And what's he going to say? I gave it to you. Right.
Well, yeah. So lesson learned from that is, if you're exchanging money,
count it.
They counted, and then you take it and you count it, and you don't let them leave until you count it. Like, this exchange has to take place. But at the time, I guess he didn't realize it. I didn't realize it that, that's what one of the shystery moves is. They counted, they have some sort of sleight of the hand where they counted the folds. I have no idea, and so then yeah, so you're just fucked over. But that is literally the story of Ukraine. Like Soviet Ukraine and post-Soviet Ukraine, that was just the entire story for me. And so like for me to be ingrained into that hopelessness feeling of things out of my control, at the mercy of someone else, and being unsafe and being just at a free fall. That was just another one of those examples for me. And I was driving home this morning, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I remember that. I just remember the hopelessness that I felt as a child. Like, oh my gosh, my dad is a genius. Here's a human being who's a genius. Like, and he's still getting fucked over. And then what that means and how you feel and like your life savings that you were just trying to protect by changing them to US currency get fucked over. I probably need to do some work on that. Yeah, and it was just like such a pivotal moment in my thought process of what a human being does to another human being. Obviously, in this guy's case, out of his own desperateness, right? Like his business model is shysterness out of his pain body, but that's a pain body cumulative of the entire country. So, side note, once again, not on topic.
But pro tip. Always count your change.
Yeah, count your exchange rates.
Yeah.
But that's another thing we should mention. Like, when we got out of the airport, everybody, like you said, you saw the chaos.
Yeah. So we're at the luggage reclaim station, baggage claim. There's an official airport money change place, and there's a big sign. You need local currency. You don't need local currency in Costa Rica. Everywhere took a credit card. And the only thing that didn't was like, little like kiosk things.
Or like just people on the streets.
Yeah, people on the street. And they take US. Everyone's happy to take a US dollar.
Yeah, they were very happy to take US dollar.
Close enough to 500 to 1 that everybody's just do 500 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah, but in reality, they probably got a little bit more money out of taking the dollar, right? Like
maybe
if we were cheap and we wanted to give them the exact change, we probably overpaid here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that was, I guess,
I'm sure there would be some cases where you do need local currency, but we didn't run into any of them.
Yeah, but we usually try to avoid local currency at all costs. Like in Turkey, we had to get it.
Yeah.
And in Egypt, we had to get it.
I'm happy to, bring home, $5, $10 worth of local currency because I think it's neat to have, here's what a Turkish lira looks like. Never touched one the whole trip.
Yeah. I think the reason why we changed it in Egypt and Turkey is because the exchange rate of like $1 is a lot. And so unless we took $1 and broke it down into Turkish liras or Egyptians,
then we're overpaying for everything.
We're paying for everything because even $1 is too much.
Yeah,
and no one's going to take coins.
And it doesn't make sense to bring U.S. coins.
Yeah, nobody would even take coins. So because the dollar was just worth so much more, and most of the things were way under $1, it makes sense to change currency there. But for the most part, I don't think you need to.
Yeah.
Because then there's that game of like, well, how much do I change? Because then you lose money on the change rate in and the change rate out. And the exchange rates are ridiculous.
You lose money. You lose 10% both. Twice.
Yeah. And Europe and Costa Rica are really good about just taking Apple Pay. Like, most of the time
I don't think I stuck a card in a machine once.
Yeah. And I paid with my phone everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Which is great, right? Because I don't even carry a wallet. So to me, if I can Apple Pay with my phone.
Yeah. I carry a card just on the off chance, but Europe and Costa Rica, I don't think I would have. I could have made it with Apple Pay. That would have been fine.
Yeah. So not cheap.
Not cheap. I mean, it's not expensive.
Not more expensive than
yeah. I mean, maybe more expensive than Mexico, I would say.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mexico's on the cheaper end.
Yeah.
But cheaper than Europe, I would say.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I wonder if what happened is
EU Europe. I mean, EU Europe is all fairly pricey. I mean, you get in the middle of a London or Vienna, especially in a tourist area, and everything's 30% more than it would be otherwise.
Plus the euro is 20% more.
Plus, euro is worth more. Or you get out into the rural, the villages or whatever, and everything's cheaper, and that's just That's
Yeah.
not you know, you go out to LA and everything's more expensive than it is in where we live. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
not dissimilar.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. What I was saying is, I wonder if the mindset of the public that, oh, you go to Costa Rica and you live rich, has caught up with the country to where now the country has adjusted itself
They're
to
like,
the US dollar
yeah, I think so.
more so.
I think
So
so.
maybe that was the case 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Maybe. And maybe real estate is inexpensive. I don't know. It might be.
I saw the signs that I saw for an oceanfront view lot.
Yeah.
Because we were driving through one part of Costa Rica, was $169,000
for a lot.
For a lot. And I was thinking,
it's not a
that's
big,
a lot.
It's not a big lot.
And they're not big lots, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
and it says ocean view, and that's often kind of a euphemistic ocean view. It's like, yeah, if you squint your eyes and you look between those trees, that's the ocean. You know.
Yeah, you're not on the ocean.
It's not. Yeah, ocean view can mean a lot of things.
It's not an ocean lot.
It's not an ocean lot. It's up on a mountain. If you look down there, that's the ocean type of thing.
Yeah. No, but $169,000 for a lot.
Yeah.
There's lots in Louisville that are good lots.
There's houses in Louisville for that.
169, yeah. So I wouldn't, right, like comparisonally just.
No, granted, that is an ocean lot. You go down to Florida, you're not going to buy a lot for $169,000 on the Gulf.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
I don't know what just a regular lot in a, outside of San Jose, 10, 15 miles outside of San Jose, how much that would cost. I don't know.
Yeah, but you would not, if you're moving there from America and you have a dream of retiring in Costa Rica,
you don't want to.
You see the ocean.
Yeah,
you don't see, backyard with the cows in San Jose.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So like, there's the idea of what is it?
Oh, I'm gonna go live in a tropical paradise for pennies on the dollar. That was not my experience.
Yeah.
Of this.
Yeah. So okay, that's that part one.
Okay. I guess I can just go straight into it.
Yeah.
Starting in Costa Rica and ever since, historically, I have a very active mind. My mind is never quiet. And I've always got some sort of chit-chat going on up there. A lot of time, it's not great. It can be negative stuff. But, they call it the monkey mind. It's just blah, blah, blah. It's just going. It's just all the time, I'm looking for problems to solve. I like solving problems. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about the future. I'm, ruminating about the past just all the time. I always have my whole life. Sometime in the middle of Costa Rica, maybe early, it got really.
Do you remember when?
What was the first place I went to? I'm trying to think.
The first place is where we lost your drone.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe that's a whole story too.
It might have been the first place. It might have been the second or third day at the first place. It kind of faded out. The monkey mind just shut up. And I'm like, at some point I'm like, I'm not thinking about anything. And I just had this vision of just like this hollow. Calling it a coconut would be weird because this feels bigger than a coconut.
There's a lot of coconuts.
There's a lot of coconuts, but it just feels hollow and empty. And it's great. Oh my gosh, it's so nice because it's just so relaxing. And it's like, oh my gosh, how much energy went into that. And it's stuck with me ever since. It sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes, but it's gone most of the time. Right now, I'm just sitting here talking and it's not. Whereas plenty of times I've been sitting here talking and it's doing its own thing as I'm trying to focus on a conversation. It's like, you got to remember to check the certificates on the website and you got to do, and I'm like, just useless stuff that, it's on a list. It's not like I have to remember it. It's really nice. And you said the same thing happened to you too.
Yeah. No, I felt like it was coming. It was coming and coming and coming. And so it was amplifying. But then I think when we hit Costa Rica, it like really amplified and it set in.
I guess it did feel like it was building up before Costa Rica.
Yeah. So I say this. I do not know if I can attribute this to Costa Rica or it's just this was the pattern we're on. And then in Costa Rica, it just happened to occur.
Right. I would have blamed the eclipse, except it was in full force a good week before the eclipse.
Yeah. But so wait, we're recording this. Eclipse just happened.
Monday, and this is Friday.
Today's Friday after the eclipse, and the eclipse was April 8th.
So today's the
11th? 12th. Today's the 12th. My phone's right
there. You go.
Right. So this is a couple of days after the eclipse. And then the Costa Rica was for us was just like a week before. So it was from March 30th through the 7th. But I did feel it building before that. So I think astrologically, whatever was happening, whatever alignments, but people were saying that there's a lot of planetary alignments right before the eclipse. So everything that was leading up prior to eclipse kind of was like, it was creating this epicenter of like a reset come the 8th.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, same thing for me. Just like, it's almost difficult to restart the monkey mind, which is so great. Which I'm like,
I know I could start it if I wanted to. I know I could just fall into this if I tried, but I'm like, I have no desire to try. That's like, I know I could go become an alcoholic again if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking is I was experimenting with starting it because I'm like, because now that I'm like aware that it's not running, I'm like, well, what would it be if I dived into it? And even if I started and tried to dive into it, it is actually an effort to keep it going. Just like before, it was an effort not to have it going.
I think this might be why I'm having such great sleep too, is because I am falling asleep faster than ever before, and I'm staying asleep better than ever before.
Because when you lay down, you're not rolling.
Yeah, I guess that last night in that, my mind was going on that night.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because I'm like almost stuck awake. The last night we were in this Airbnb that was not
wrong choice by Tanya.
It was not closed to the outside, so like it's not that rain would come in, but like on the second,
well, the roof was staggered.
Yeah, and like there's like a mesh, so animals aren't going to get in, but insects could definitely get in because it's open to the air.
Yeah.
And sound could get in, and air could and light could get in, and there's no way to block it. So it's loud, it's bright, and it's full of mosquitoes. And the bed wasn't that great.
Oh, the bed was terrible.
And that was, that is not what I'm used to. I'm used to sleeping in complete darkness on a comfortable bed with no bugs, and the air exactly how I want it to be, temperature. And it was none of those things. So it was hard to fall asleep that night. And that's when the monkey mind is worse for me, is when I'm having trouble falling asleep. It just goes into overdrive and it feeds itself. And so it was doing it then.
I was just angry.
I noticed it.
I was just angry.
I was angry too. And I'm like, and I don't have an, I like having two pillows, and I didn't have an extra pillow to cover my face with. Because if I can cover my face, then, then I can block the light out a bit.
There's all kinds of extra pillows.
It has to be the right kind of pillow.
Oh my gosh, look at you. What's going to happen to you?
The prince has got to have his perfect pillow. There's a pea underneath it. I know. That's me.
What was the last part?
There's a pea underneath the
princess and the pea.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know. Super privileged. But I did notice it then. But that's really the only time in the last 2 weeks now that I can point to where it's been active. And it's incredible. My meditations have just been this like empty emoji style. We can link to emoji.
She's destroying the carpet.
Who does these meditations where, the goal is to just empty your mind.
Yeah. But not like actively sit there, empty your mind.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like that there's, to begin with, and I started meditating, it was like, empty my mind.
Right. Nothing, think of nothing, but thinking of nothing, you're actually thinking of nothing. When it's like, wait a minute, what? And which is, I guess, better than thinking of everything, but it's still not empty.
Yeah.
And like, maybe for the first time in my life, I'm actually experiencing empty. And it's just, I notice it, and it's so weird but amazing. And I visualize this as an empty, hollow, almost like a coconut.
But even visualizing it is taking you away from the empty, right?
Yeah, but yes, it does. But because I'm like, I catch myself going, there's nothing going on up there. And it's just so unusual because I've got 43 years of everything going on 24/7.
Hmm. No, it's wow. Thinking back on it, I'm like, how did I survive?
How did I
How did I
survive? How did I
survive?
survive?
Because it's
There's
like
so many
chaos.
things when it's like, oh my gosh, what? Yeah, it's like I've been lugging around a ball and chain my whole life,
Hmm.
tied to my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like when you're so used to the ball and chain, you don't realize what is it that
Yeah,
how much energy you're draining. But the second that stops, you go,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
right. And it's like so much of mine was the past or the future that it's like, have I ever actually been present? And now it's like, oh, I can be here and I can be, talking to you about this stuff, and I'm like here. I'm actually here right now.
Yeah. No, remember in I think through several podcast episode I talked about um the explanation that I got. She's part going over there through everything. She's so great. The that what humanity will face is basically like you're on the road from point A to point B, and you just pull off onto the city without a plan in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
and now you're nowhere,
Yeah.
and there's no point A and point B,
Yeah.
and you're just in the present.
That
Um,
is kind of how it feels.
yeah,
But it doesn't feel scary or lost. It just feels calm and peaceful.
yeah,
Like the way you described that story almost, could be taken in a scary way,
well, it's
I don't
because
know.
you have a fear of not being tethered.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The reason why the monkey mind is there, it's welcome there because it keeps you tethered. It's mitigating all the fears. It's running control. It's running perceived idea of control. So the monkey mind is like, oh my gosh, okay, if I go to the grocery store, I can buy this. Okay, and then if I have to make sure I don't forget to do this because then I'll make money on that, and then the websites won't go down, and then the clients will be happy, and so I'll have money, and then the people will like me, and then blah blah blah. Blah.
Yeah.
It is fear based protection mechanism, or is a protection mechanism that is trying to mitigate all the fears that are running in the back of your head.
Maybe it was earlier than that because on the
Watch out, you might get attacked. I don't know how fierce she is right now. You coming to lay down or attack?
so we arrive at our first Airbnb in the evening. And then the next morning, and I guess I did fly the drone that evening for the sunset.
Mhm.
But then the next morning, sunrise is like 5:20 a.m. or
I
something.
like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, so Costa Rica is actually we're in Kentucky
On Eastern,
on Eastern time, but Costa Rica
yeah,
is farther to the east.
we're UTC -4, and they're on UTC -6, so they're two time zones off. Despite being where we San Jose at least is, I don't know, 50 miles east of where we are,
Mhm.
which
Yeah, but I liked having the sunset that
I wouldn't
early.
have believed.
Oh,
I would not
sunrise.
believe that if I did not verify that on a map.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
apparently, that's the way Central America bends. Yeah, so they're 2 hours off of where we are, despite being east from where we are.
Mhm.
Makes no sense, but it is nice. It's nice that the sun rises super early. I wish it would stayed up later because it also set at like 5:30
No,
p.m.
but it's nice to like go out to dinner or just go for a stroll in the evening in the dark after the sun goes
Yeah,
down. I mean, mosquitoes out, yes. But as far as just like that idea of experiencing the dark, because here we never experience the dark. Like if
yeah,
I'm in bed by 9 o'clock in the summertime, guess what? I never see the dark.
yeah. So I woke up that first morning and I flew the drone at like in the
It
late
was
late
five
fives.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a great time to fly, get some nice light. Um, and I guess I made it behind a building, or I don't know, too far, whatever. Lost signal. Now the drone is smart enough to return to home, but it's dumb enough to go home is wherever I first acquired signal, not where I took off from. Um, and that's on me. I should make sure that the home point is somewhere safe to land. So as I'm flying, I take off and I fly out, and we overlook this little park, and that's nice. And
But we're on a balcony.
we're on a balcony of the 10th floor.
Yeah.
And it's not like it can land here, because landing here means landing on whatever the top balcony would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Best case. Worst case is going to hit the edge of that balcony and break a blade and come tumbling down. So I take off and I fly out, and it acquires signal halfway through the park over a tree.
It's a beautiful park.
Beautiful park. So, usually the way it's supposed to work is, you lose signal, it comes back, and then it reacquires signal, and then you can fly it in if you need to. It never reacquired signal. And so it's gone, and I'm looking for it, and I'm listening for it, and I know vaguely where it is, and it's coming back. And obviously I'm a terrible pilot because I'm supposed to know where it is all the time. I see it coming down, and I'm like, oh, if it was over a couple feet, it would be fine, but it's going to go right into this tree. And this looks like a sizable tree. And I call Annabelle. I'm like, Annabelle, you want to see a disaster in progress? Here it goes. That's the drone. And I have no control over it. And it's going down, and it's going to hit that tree. And she's like, no. I'm like, yes, it doesn't work. See? And so I just put on my shoes, and I grab the keys, and I bolt out of there, hoping it doesn't land on anybody, because that would be awful. That would be really, really bad. Long story short, it's stuck in a tree. Not the tree that the first guy tells me, which I spent 45 minutes in, but a different tree. And it's 30 meters up, which is what? 90 feet? It's really, really high up. 30 feet up. It's 30 feet up. Because I had 30 feet up. Yeah. 35 feet up, something like that. I'm not reaching it, right? And I can't climb this tree to get there safely. There's no way. But where I was going with this is, I was so weirdly at peace with it being there that I'm like, it feels like this should bother me a lot more than it does. I was actively aware of, I am not bothered by this. I am at peace with the fact that I might not get this drone back. I think I will get it back, but if I don't, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm underreacting to this. I feel like I should have more of a charge about this, and I just don't feel it.
Mm-hmm. The charge has left.
And it was weird.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is, whenever you don't have that charge, what's very noticeable is the surrender into the unknown, which is what they told me that is going to come. It's being in that space will allow you to surrender, which is basically into something that we have been trying to mitigate our entire life, which is the unknown. We have been so scared and fearful of the unknown that we've been trying to mitigate it all along. But now that the monkey mind has calmed down, you recognize the surrender is able to take place because you're okay with the unknown. Yeah. Right? So in your case, you're okay with not getting the drone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and in fact, the only thing I felt was, I feel bad wasting time trying to get this drone when we could be out exploring and having a vacation.
Yeah, but that's because you still have not processed the unlovable part. It was like, oh, look.
Now it's my fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
They're not going to love me because they're wasting time.
Right. No, I did see that.
Yeah. So that's still something to let go of.
Long story short, we tried a whole bunch of crazy things, including...
We probably spent 6 hours trying to do it.
Yeah, probably 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening.
Yeah, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening. What's very, very interesting is how many people, locals, got involved in trying to help us.
Right. It was great. Everybody was so
nice.
friendly. Everybody was friendly. And my Spanish is mediocre at best, but I recruited, or I didn't recruit people. They just came and helped. And I explained it's in the tree, and they're like, oh, you try this, you try that, and can I do this? And
I already came up and suggested. Everyone was really nice. Yeah. The one guy, the homeless guy, dedicated the entire morning to help you climb the tree and help you climb down the tree, but he wanted money out of you. But he was still kind. And then there's the guy in the evening who dedicated, oh my gosh, he was throwing the ball for probably an hour. Just heaving the ball up 30 feet.
A, you got to hit it, and B, you got to knock it out. And apparently he hit it several times.
He hit it several times, but by the time it would reach all the branches and it would hit it,
Didn't have enough
the
oomph.
momentum. Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you hit it hard enough, it will just broke it.
Right.
Yeah. So no, it was great. Yeah. So I didn't want it to be our truth. And so like, as we went on to the drive to the waterfall, like, you and I were rolling in our brain of what creative solution we can come up with.
There was a rock in the middle of the road, and both of us independently go, "Oh, that's a nice rock." Because the park didn't have a rock. We were like, I bought a extension cord. We go to breakfast, and next door
We're
is
spend the entire time talking about the drone retrieval instead of Costa Rica.
next door is a hardware store, and the only thing they had was an extension cord, and it looks like a hefty extension cord. Turns out I can break an extension cord with my hands, or at least this extension cord.
Yeah.
We wrapped it around the branch. We're pulling on it. Snap, 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 over and over and over. We tie it back and it snaps, and tie it back and it snaps. So those are weak. I was thinking if we could just shake the branch enough, maybe we could get it out.
But later you got the rope, but we didn't use it.
Yeah. We found bamboo, like 3-4 foot sections of bamboo that we tried to wedge together and tie together and duct tape together, and that didn't work.
With hammer and nails.
Hammers and nails. Yeah, doesn't work. In the end, going to a hardware store and buying 3 10-foot sections of PVC pipe and linking those together was enough for me to poke it and push it out. And then we had a cartoon fireman style blanket parachute thing for it to land in that you all amazingly caught it in. That was very impressive.
Mm-hmm. And we have a video of us celebrating.
Yeah.
Like some random lady, because this was Easter Sunday. And so
it was Easter Sunday too. So everything's closed. So it's
everything's closed. Yeah. So some lady just recorded us actually getting, maybe you should put the video as us celebrating.
And then,
like idiots.
and then the my PVC thing, which is not stable. It comes down and it barely misses her. I feel bad about that.
Well, no, I think she was fine.
Talk to the fire department. They're like, yeah, no, we can't do that.
You know what you manifested in that case is you wanted an excuse to use your Spanish lessons.
Well, I got a great excuse to use it.
No, but you manifested all that, right? What came out of that? Manifestation. I
used a lot of Spanish that day.
Yeah, all the words that you learned, where you're like, oh, I don't know how I'll use this word. I don't know how I'll use this word.
Word for crash. Word for tree.
Yeah, but you manifested that, right? I mean, I know that's kind of rude to say, because you're like, oh, be careful what words you learn in a foreign language with the intention of using them in that country. But that's what that was. It was manifestation, and the words that you learned led you into the circumstances where you were going to use them.
Yeah.
So, cautionary tale. Yeah. No, but afterwards we went to the coast, and we went to the coast to the south side and to the coast to the north side.
Yeah.
And the north side was a blue zone.
On the peninsula, yeah. What's
it
called?
Blue?
Nasara.
Nasara.
It's a blue zone.
Yeah. It's the first blue zone we've been to.
Yeah, which is, there's 5 blue zones in the world, and these are places where people regularly, healthily live past 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy there is great. It's super calm. It's super peaceful. They have apparently like a mineral-rich drinking water. And all of Costa Rica has access to just the most amazing fruit. Just all these pineapples and papayas and
probably not GMO altered.
Yeah.
Non-fertilized.
Yeah, probably just
not chemically altered fruit.
Yeah.
You would say, I could say that here in United States where we live, the grocery store we go to has unlimited fruit that we can buy.
But it's not as good.
Well, no, it's GMO altered and it's fertilized driven. So what we're doing is any benefit that we receive from that fruit is being offset by the net negative of the chemicals that cause disharmony in our body, which is kind of strange, right? Because you're like, well, then at what point is it a good idea to eat fruit?
Who are we? We're talking to someone somewhere on some trip, and I don't even remember where it was. Maybe somewhere in Europe. We were talking about how, we just, we can buy any fruit we want, but it's just not great.
It was in Oslo. It was the hotel in Oslo. The guy was talking about how he went to Walmart when he visited the United States, and he was in shock about the plentifulness of fruit.
But it's all mediocre at best.
But he didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like to him walking into the grocery store and seeing the plentifulness food, he doesn't even understand that the food here is poisonous. versus in Europe, it's not,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, yeah, it's like here the strawberries, they're they taste good, I guess. But have you ever had a real strawberry from and I'm sure you could grow them here. It just we don't. We grow big old massive
because you sell them per pound.
strawberries instead of a real strawberry is a tiny thing.
Yes.
If you go over in Europe, and I guess you could do it here, but in Europe, if you go to a farmer's market
Or even a grocery
or even
store.
a grocery store, strawberries are less than an inch big,
Yes.
but they're so good. They're so good.
Well, they're just not poisonous.
Yeah.
Well, the strawberries they're eating
But
here are
and
just
this
poisonous.
is true of
Hardcore.
all the knocked over the whole chair.
No, she's parkouring over there.
This is true of all the fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables and probably the meat. I
Yeah, oh,
assume
yeah.
so we don't
Oh,
eat
yeah.
meat, but all that stuff is just it's more expensive, I'm sure, because you're not getting as many massive strawberries per acre as you are here. But
that's what the economy here is. The economy is produce the largest thing possible, the waste, the heaviest amount, so you make more,
Yeah.
more dollars per acre of land,
as cheaply and efficiently as possible,
as big as possible.
as big as possible.
Hence the chickens and hence
And it's
the beef.
but yeah, and it's not, it's quantity over quality.
Yeah, yeah, and so yeah, Costa Rica's fruit is just you could tell.
It's out of this world.
Yeah, but I would say so when we were driving into the Nassau area, I noticed the frequency just completely shift on when we were on the road. And, the roads are not great in Costa Rica, but that's a whole other topic. But so, yeah, as we were driving in, I noticed a spot where the energy changed.
Where was it?
Oh, I don't know. I can't tell you. It was somewhere on
Oh, on that road?
Yeah. And I felt it. And then later on, we took a meditation painting workshop with one of the ladies who lives there. And I asked her, I'm like, well, do you know what's up with energy here? And I figured since she is running a meditation workshop, she's somewhat familiar. And she's like, well, it is quartz. It is sitting, that entire area or entire Costa Rica or most of the Costa Rica is sitting on quartz crystal. Right. So there's that.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
it's super volcanic.
Yeah, super volcanic. So there's a lot of activity there. But at the same time, there's water. Right. And when we first got to Costa Rica, the message that I got was that the energy of the place highly depends on the
almost like the ratio of land to water.
How much of land is surrounded by water. And so that was the first day when we got into that Airbnb, they like plopped that message in. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
and Costa Rica is not super wide, and it's of course Atlantic on one side and Pacific on the other. But Nassau is a peninsula.
Is a peninsula. Yes.
So it's Pacific on one side and I guess a bay on the other side.
Yeah. No. So what I realized is what they wanted me to know, that the reason why the energy of the country is completely different is because if those of you who are not familiar, maybe we should have flashed the map before this, but maybe flash it right now too. Is that Costa Rica is the Central America. It's that little it's line in between the continent of the south and the north, and it's like a couple of countries there. There's Belize, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama. I'm forgetting one or two.
Colombia up there somewhere.
No, Colombia is on the mainland,
Okay.
South America.
That's what I know.
I'm forgetting something. So
Mexico's up there somewhere.
No, Mexico is north. Venezuela and Colombia is at the bottom. But so there's another two countries.
Nicaragua? Did you say that?
Maybe. I didn't say Nicaragua. But so yeah, anyway, so that is the power of the country. One of the powers of the country is because the land mass surrounding the country of water is basically having a huge effect. And then the message that I got is that is why if you wanted to build an energetically amplified area, a healing area, you would have it. She's scaling. Hello. You would have it surrounded by water.
Yeah.
And then I was taken back to the Atlantis and all of their structures, all of their temple-like structure and the meeting places of the masses were all designed around, surrounded by water, aquifers almost. And so while there, I got a design of how you would design an energy healing place. To promote natural healing, just naturally designed healing. Parko. Who's a Parko master? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went to the Nasara. Part of it, what I noticed, what amplified more, is that we went from a chunk of land, which was still very narrow and small and still surrounded by huge bodies of water.
Yeah.
And of course, there's rivers running through it.
It was high, wasn't it? Ouch! Sharp. Wasn't San Jose at 4,000 feet?
I don't remember.
I thought they said it was at 4,000 feet.
I don't remember.
Elevation.
Nasara was on the beach.
Nasara was on the beach. It's at sea level.
But it has mountains, so we were staying slightly up.
Yeah, but but not 4,000. 4,000 feet's up there.
Yeah. No, I don't know how a mountain thing would amplify it. I mean, it's just the currents of the river. But San Jose has many rivers running through it. But Nasara is obviously a peninsula, so the body of water is less. Pacific's coming in, right? The rivers that make up the peninsula are coming in. And then let's say it is amplified by the fact that it's coarse crystal based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a natural preserve for the most part because they're trying to limit development. I think within the next 5 years, it's going to explode.
It didn't seem as volcanic. There weren't as many obvious volcanoes right there.
Yeah.
There, San Jose is surrounded by at least 3.
Yeah.
Go up north. There's the Arenal Mountain.
Yeah, and we went to the Arenal later.
Volcano, rather.
Yeah, we went to the Arenal area later around the lake. But the energy there was still not the same energy as the Nasara energy. Mm-hmm. And I felt like as far as, but hence it's the blue zone, right? But I think that monkey mind chatter calming down was also, as it came in harder when we got to Costa Rica, the environment offered like almost the longer you spend in some sort of frequency that allows you to adjust to it as opposed to being yanked out by the environment, the more likely it is to set in permanently, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that week in that environment was basically kind of an amplified mechanism that allowed that calmness to set in. Does that make sense? And so San Jose was calm, and then we went to Nasara, was calm, even calmer. When we went to Arenal, it was really calm. Energy was less calm there because it was a little bit more volcanic and active. Mm-hmm. But the hotel we stayed in did an amazing job at calming the energy. And then we left, right?
Well, we spent the last day. That was, combined with the awkwardness of the Airbnb, it was the least calm out of any of them, I guess. Energy-wise. But, it's that last day. It's weird. We got to get up and get breakfast and get, the last day is always a little weird.
Yeah. Well, it is, especially depending how much travel you have, like it almost feels like a wasteful day. And so you're like, in my mind, I guess if you like we travel and the kids especially travel with the idea of this day is wasted.
Yeah.
As opposed to traveling is an adventure within itself. Yeah. That's the right attitude.
Yeah. But that last day, it's like, the flight's tomorrow, so we got to find a place. We had a place and, we spend the night and then we wake up and we hit breakfast and we leave. But it's like, well, breakfast, we could do breakfast in the airport. We could do breakfast on a plane or whatever if we had to. It's not that. It does feel weird and wasted.
I guess I like the travel journey itself.
I like the travel journey itself too, but I used to feel that way a lot.
Yeah, kids still feel that way.
Like the last day of even Florida when we're driving back, it's like,
well, one, you don't want to leave.
You don't want to leave, but it's like at the same time, once you've mentally resolved that you are leaving, it's like, well, now I just want to be home. I don't want the process of airports and TSA security and layovers and nonsense.
Right. Yeah. No, Costa Rica was really hard to leave.
It was really hard to leave. That lady who did the painting meditation, she has apparently lived as like a nomad, and she lives a couple years here, a couple years here, a couple months here, whatever. And she visited a friend for a week on Costa Rica a year ago and never left.
That's awesome.
And she's like, I want to leave. I just can't. It's the country's pulling me in. I just can't leave.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean, because I'm like, I could live here.
Yeah.
I could, there handful of places we've visited and I'm like, I could live here. And that's one of them. I could live there.
Yeah, probably not as a king on middle class America money.
Probably not. Probably not.
But but if you're gonna live somewhere, that's how people feel about Florida, right? Like if I'm gonna live somewhere, it might as well be nice, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I feel that way about
No, I don't feel that way about Florida, but
Florida.
that's why a lot of older people move to Florida.
Yeah,
It's like I just want nice weather in wintertime,
that's true. I
as
mean,
opposed to Kentucky weather in wintertime,
yeah,
right? A lot of people like go to winter in Arizona for that reason,
yeah.
right? Like
I would pick Arizona over Florida any day.
for winter.
For for year round, I would pick Arizona over
Oh,
Florida.
really?
Yeah.
Ah,
I'd pick the hot, dry Arizona instead of the hot, humid Florida
that's
any day.
or how you in Kentucky.
Or hot, humid Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess honestly, I would pick a hot. Like I'm okay
Or
with
or New Mexico.
110
Any day.
degrees hot,
But dry
but dry is better than like 90 degrees
and 80% humidity.
moisture. Yeah, there's something about that.
And there's bugs here. There's no I don't remember mosquitoes in New Mexico or Arizona. I'm sure they're there, but
Yeah, no, that's not cool. Every time we talk about that, it makes me wonder why we're still here.
right. I mean, like the whole is that the West, the Midwest, the West, I guess, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. I just love that whole area.
I mean, Colorado gets humid, I guess, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Costa Rica, of course, this is April and it's their
Apparently
hottest
it's the
month.
hottest month. Someone said that. And I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
That doesn't
But
make sense to me, but
that's what they said.
that's what somebody said. No, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what somebody said. And I guess they have the rain season for 3 months in the winter, right? So like was it December, January, and February is their rainy season, or November, December, and January?
I don't remember.
So
But now we're in the dry season,
this is the dry season, and April is the hottest month.
which is 9 months long. And it's the dry season. I think it still rains plenty.
Oh no, yeah, we were.
What did he say? It was 100 inches of rain or something. It was some incredible amount
I thought
of
it was
rain.
300
300 inches of rain.
a year.
It's like that's a massive amount of rain.
Yeah, and then in San Jose when we were driving on the roads, the water drainers, on the road to drain off the water.
Yeah,
off of the road.
Yeah.
Are huge.
Oh my gosh.
They're like a
2
foot deep and
yeah.
2 feet wide. I mean,
Yeah.
if your car fell in there, I don't think you're getting out.
No, that's the thing. There were plenty of those. What are they called? Oh, just on the edge of the road where the little channel for the water to go down. They're like, oh yeah, if you get your tire in there, you're not getting out at all.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, I got to be super careful about this.
Yeah,
Over here, it dips down a little bit.
Yeah, no, over
It's
there.
like no, they take their rain seriously.
Yeah, well, I think it's also on in the San Jose especially like on the older roads in the city where maybe the roads themselves are not designed well for drainage. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like once we got out into like the more like, well, no, it was everywhere in San Jose, but it was not the case on the coast.
Right. Even our last Airbnb, it was like that, and the only reason we could park there was because they had a little metal grate over it that let us drive over that thing. It's deep. These are deep channels to move a lot of water. And I know they get hurricanes, they get tropical storms and stuff like that too.
Yeah. But like the day before last when we were there, it was raining all day while we were at the resort.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, but it is so summary, I guess if we were kind of summarize it, like one, the energy there is completely different.
Yeah.
There's something about the energy.
It's very nice, very peaceful.
Peaceful,
very recharging and refreshing and calming in a way that I don't know that I can pick another place that has that calming of an energy.
Mm-hmm. No, I cannot think of anything that has that.
That said, I wonder if we had gone to a different place with the same. How much of it is the place and how much of it is the mindset?
Like that we were already on the trajectory of calm.
If we had gone to Bolivia at the same time, would that have done this? I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. No, but I did notice. I mean, I arrived, right, and usually I arrive somewhere for a specific reason, right? And so I'm like I'm always open, right, to where, because each place has its own vibrational frequency to where you're able to access different information. Or if you're coming in, they want you to know different information about something, right, from like the higher guidance standpoint. And I come in, and that first day, before you even lost your drone, right, the message that I got is, the country. No, it wasn't even about the country. I'm like, because the question that I asked was, wait, what's different here? There's something different, and I can't place my finger on it. And then the answer that I got is the density, the land mass. That's what it was. The land mass in relation to water determines the energetic flow. And so then in my mind, I get a flash off, oh, guess what? There's 2 bodies of oceans plowing at the country, right? Not even counting the rivers that are running through it and all the mountains, that allow the river flow to be even stronger. And then I get a flash to, oh, the design of any one space with the water. In fact, I think I even drew that. Did I even draw that for you? Or did I spend it in my dream drawing it? The design of how what would amplify a healing power of any one position?
Yeah, I didn't see it, no.
Where did I draw that? I didn't even think I had paper with me. Maybe it was in my dream. Yeah, so I drew a plan for that.
You have to draw it now.
In my crazy book, yeah, I'll make sure to make notes. Yeah, and so that was it. So I say that, yes, we were on that trajectory into calmness, into the calming of the monkey mind, but I think being in the space that allowed you to have a week worth of that when you're already working on that was kind of the key. It's like, okay, so what? Here's you're working on this. You're going to go in a place that facilitates that.
Right.
And then once you spend enough time into it, right? Even if you leave, if you're able to keep that frequency, if you become familiar with the frequency for long enough, then you're going to be able to keep that frequency on forward, right? It's almost like a habit, memorizational habit. And so when you memorize that calmness, then later when you go into the world, you're able to carry or like to activate it maybe. And yeah, so Costa Rica is magic, regardless, I think, of where you are.
Yeah.
Not cheap.
Not cheap. Not expensive, but not cheap.
Yeah, not like whatever.
Peru was cheap.
Yeah, Peru was much cheaper than this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think obviously when you go into the tourist places, we're swayed by that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Lima wasn't as cheap. Cusco was a bit cheaper, and Puno was, I think, really cheap. In Peru.
Yeah, but yeah, I would recommend
5 stars.
5 stars.
Would go back.
We'll go back, or maybe we just should move there.
We'll live like kings. Wait, we won't.
Well, no, I was thinking like in San Jose, it would be more similar to the city living because there's like restaurants and grocery stores, large stores and things like that.
It's a first-class city.
Yeah, but when you go out there into the country, any one grocery store is 10, 20, 30 minutes away, which let's say that's fine. But like a hardware store is like an hour or 2 away.
Yeah.
Right. And the clothing store is also an hour or 2 away from the beach, and depending on, what I'm saying is mainstream clothing store, not like the boutiques that are on the beach, trying to charge out of wazoo for specialty items.
Yeah. So unless you live in a urban-ish area, but that's the same thing here. Unless you live.
But here you have Amazon, right? I don't think you have Amazon there.
True,
I did not see any Amazon trucks.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. I don't think you living in Nasara, you would go on Amazon and get an item, even if it's a clothing item, and have it delivered to you within 2 days, a week, a month. I don't even know.
Yeah, considering those roads, I don't know how Amazon truck's going to get in.
Yeah.
There's a bridge.
Oh,
that connects. If you want to get from San Jose to the Pacific coast, there's a bridge that was in fact built by by Taiwan. And there's a whole story there. Because we had mapped out, it takes 4 hours to get from here to here. Okay, great. And then, that morning we're gonna drive. And I'm like, why is this like 6 hours? I don't understand. Why is it routing us around? Why is there a ferry? None of this makes any sense. April 1st, bridge is closed. It's been scheduled for years, it's closed for months. And I'm like, wait, what? So, now we have this massive detour around, which,
6.5 hours, I think.
6.5 hours. And the last hour and a half was only like 40 kilometers, but it was like an hour and a half, maybe more.
Yeah.
Of without exaggerating, the worst roads I've ever driven on my life.
Yeah. The roads are really, really bad.
It was, it would go from poorly paved to gravel to poorly paved to gravel, just back and forth. And there's potholes, foot or two deep potholes. And, we were lucky we were in an SUV, but
not a great one.
Not the best SUV.
Like suspension was not great.
And it was a front-wheel drive SUV, not a four-wheel drive SUV. And there were times when it's like, oh, it might get stuck. Plenty of times when I don't know how it didn't get stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes the gravel is non-existent. Sometimes the gravel is like a foot deep. And a foot deep gravel is basically like sand. And you just sort of sink in it.
Well, yeah, and then we were drifting.
We were drifting.
Yeah, if there was another car on the road when we were drifting, that wouldn't have been safe.
Yeah, but there are no other cars. It's just like...
Yeah. Later we talked to that lady and she's like, yeah, the locals don't drive that road. Why did you drive that road?
And I'm like, because Google told us to go this way. Probably because it was 5 minutes faster.
Right. Google,
and it's like, no, this road,
Google should have some sort of like, guess what? It's all gravel. Don't go down this road.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the speed limit is, you're not driving that speed
limit. You're not driving. I was like 5 to 10 miles an hour for so much of it because it feels like the car is going to shake itself apart.
Yeah.
She was shocked and horrified that we had gone that road because she's like, nobody goes that way. And I'm like, no, we came this way. She's like, oh, don't go out that way. Go out this way. It's bad, but it's only bad for like 5K instead of 40.
Yeah, that was. I mean, but obviously there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Maybe we needed that shaking, like something in the body needed to be shaken out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it almost felt that way.
It was horrible, but it was fun too in its own way.
Yeah, the entire trip had very unique experiences that like were not planned, but they kind of inserted themselves in.
Right.
As a like.
Calling them disasters is completely overblowing it, but it's like it's nothing that I would have ever chosen. I would never choose to lose a drone injury. I would never choose to drive over that much of that bad road. I would never choose to have, that particular car with the lights that don't work and it's in the front wheel drive that won't make it. I would never have chosen these things. But now I can look back and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we did that all these things happened because it was such a great adventure.
You know what it was? It made it very obvious that our mindset, our perspective has completely shifted to where all of these things that in the past we would have like flipped out over, considered disastrous, got upset over.
Never choose to have the bridge out and have 2 hours added to this.
Like all of these things just piled up.
But none of them were a big deal.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh look, I'm not reacting, and I'm not reacting,
That's the thing.
And I'm not reacting.
It was super obvious, and it was super to me that I'm like, I would have had a reaction to this. I would have had a huge charge, and I would have to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm underreacting to it. I feel like shouldn't I be more upset about this?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that makes no sense. So being upset about it isn't going to change anything. The bridge is out. There's nothing I can do about that. Can't drive up and go, please, can I pass?
Well, no, I think what it made it obvious is that our old way of functioning, our old patterns became apparent. We were very aware that this is how I would have reacted to it based on my old pattern. And then because we were reacting differently, it was a shock.
That's the thing.
But we become so accustomed to the charge of that reaction. We become so accustomed to being angry and be frustrated and like voicing it and taking it out on other people and having the trip go weirdly because all of a sudden now we're charged with this outside irrelevant emotion, right? It became very obvious that all that energy was just wasted. Right, like me overreacting about a 2.5 hour detour through a bumpy road would have been an unnecessary waste of energy.
Yeah.
As flipping out about not being able to get your drone, as opposed to making it into a fun experience.
Yeah.
Would have been a waste of energy.
The whole time I'm like, I get it back, I don't get it back. I'd like to get it back, obviously. I don't want to be forced to buy another one. I would rather have it than not have it.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, this is going to be a great little story.
Yeah, no, it was so obvious. This was great because I thought both of the kids, I think they're fighting. Both of the kids and I'm not sure about you, determined this was a great experience.
Yeah.
Like losing the drone and spending a day trying to get out of the tree.
It was fun.
It was
actually fun. And it's like, would I choose that? No. But at the same time, I'm glad it happened. It was actually fun.
Yeah, like all of the kids loved participating in all of the crazy ways we tried to come up for 6 hours of how to get
My
this drone
gosh.
out. I mean, I documented because like, here's was attempt 1, here's was attempt 2, here's attempt 3. We went to here and we gathered sticks. And
I was up in that tree 5 or 6 times. I probably have scars from it.
Yeah, no, but
It destroyed my pants.
right, and like, and it's kind of silly because I was thinking, think about this was another thing that I realized is like, think about all the locals are like, these people have been at it all day. What the heck are they doing? And so most of them were like very involved in the fact that we wouldn't give up.
Oh my gosh, the whole everybody around was cheer when it finally fell down. The whole park started cheering.
So we spent 3 hours just that evening.
Here's this idiot gringo who lost his drone up in a tree trying to get it down.
Yeah, right.
Multiple people suggested chainsawing that branch off. And I'm like, I'm not going to chainsaw a branch off of a nice, big, healthy tree.
It was a beautiful tree. That was like the most appalling thing that somebody would consider chainsawing this branch off.
I'm not going to do that.
No amount of drone money is worth jeopardizing a healthy tree, a beautiful tree. Right? And they're like, oh, well, it's just a branch. I'm like, have you seen this tree? Have you seen the gorgeousness of this tree? And you know what was funny is I was thinking when you lost a tree and you climbed into the wrong tree and then got stuck in it, the birds that had the nest, the parrots that had the nest in the tree where the drone actually was, were actually over there trying to attack the drone.
Yeah.
Telling you where the drone actually was.
If we had just looked at nature would have told us exactly where it was.
Yeah. And so for the first hour, we didn't know where it was.
Yeah.
It was close to the tree.
It was close, yeah. And the guy, I said, did you see it? And he said, no, I heard it. I heard it in this tree. I'm sure it's in this tree. I heard it come down.
Yeah, but if it was in that tree, we would have never been able to get it out.
I believe them. I mean, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. No, the country was so like gift giving, but in the most nuanced way.
Right. Not the gifts that you want, but the gifts that you need.
Yeah. And then you had a choice in how, right, that is life, period. You have a choice of how you would react to this set of circumstances. But all of them were just the most beautiful gifts. Like, and we were ended up and we went whitewater rafting and then with this most beautiful group of people.
Because whitewater rafting is like, when we looked it up, the only whitewater rafting available is you got to get there at 8 and it's a 6-hour ordeal because they drive you for 2 hours, then you come back for 2 hours and all this stuff. And it's like, well, that is not possible considering that we're already 2 or 3 hours away
we just
driving
didn't accommodate that in our schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, we're going to drive out here. In worst case, there's a nice park or a nice thing we can go see, but we'll try to whitewater raft. And it worked. We just drove up and they're like, oh yeah, it'll be here in 30 minutes. Well, it turned out to be an hour, but.
Yeah, but that was a test in calmness as well. Just accommodating the fact that they were in pickle.
And they got a flat tire coming back. And
so we had to sit there for long. But we got cranky. But then we were like, okay, look, I'm getting cranky. Look at my reaction here. But then it was the most beautiful experience.
It was a great
And he said experience. That the place where we went whitewater rafting is only available to them for like a couple of months because all other times the waters are too high or too shallow.
Yeah.
And so he took us to this most magical canyon. He said, like, usually even if they go whitewater rafting in this river, they start lower after the canyon because the canyon is, unpredictable and the water through it.
Yeah.
But it was a magical canyon. And then we got out and actually got to float in the canyon. And oh my gosh, like just the energy there. I was thinking, you could do amazing ceremonies in this canyon. I don't know how or where because it's a canyon and there's just a river running through it. But the rocks and the trees around it was just gorgeous.
Same with ziplining. It's like that was something that we were supposed to like book in advance and whatever. And it's like, well, no, we kind of just booked it last minute and showed up.
Yeah, but we kind of wing a lot of stuff.
We do.
Because we trust the universe to figure it out for us.
I was like, I hope we can whitewater raft, but I'm not counting on it. I hope we can zip line, but I'm not counting on it. And it just worked out.
Yeah, and Annabelle wanting to horseback ride. And
she did. This makes no sense, but it's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm last minute, I'm on Google and I happened to found a ziplining place and I can't figure out whether a package is what. But I know, like, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to spend too much time and I don't know what it is. And it wasn't a budget related decision. It was just like, I chose not to horseback ride. Because their packages, like, I just couldn't figure out. And I actually didn't even go to their website. It was an embed of the Google listing that popped up the embed of the site. Do you know what I mean? So it's not actually the site. And so I'm booking it through there, and I book and I get the confirmation. I didn't even know what the confirmation is because I can't even pull up the confirmation because however it was booked is just locked. We get there and they're like, oh yeah, so you have zip lining and horseback riding. And I'm like, I didn't pay for
And
that.
Annabelle's
I'm like,
yes.
And I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And so I think for free, or maybe I actually paid for it and I still don't know. I have no idea. Either way, Annabelle wanted horseback ride. I wasn't going to do it. And the universe just gave it to her.
Technically, she got a donkey back ride.
That's true. She was upset because hers was a donkey.
That was the biggest donkey I've ever seen.
Yeah, that donkey
it looked
like a horse.
Like a slightly small horse.
Yeah, I should put a picture of him because he does look like a horse. He just, his ears were floppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I think the countries, I think if you go there and just allow, but I think that's the truth with all the world. If you just go there and allow the universe
what happens to happen,
to deliver what you need, then there's an opportunity for just beauty. Right. So it was beautiful. Like it was hard to leave because it was so beautiful. It was
hard. I can relate to what she said. It is hard to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I could stay longer.
Yeah, it was a beautiful country.
I guess that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening.